Hey everyone, how are you? Nights with Ping is back at least for at least for today. Good to see you. I know it's been a real funny week, where I've sort of been here and then I haven't been here and I have been here and I haven't been here. That's sort of been how the week has gone so far. And I had another trial that I was hoping to do. I was hoping to take a small break after Erin Patterson and then get stuck into another trial. Except this trial sort of never really got off the ground. It just I've got all my notes here from this trial, and it sort of ran for about really like 6 days. It says 8 here, but 2 days were one was a very short day where he pled guilty today, and then the day yesterday something came up and they left early for the day. So 2 days was sort of not really a full trial day, and it only went for about 6 days. But this was a trial that was supposed to test the evidence from Lachlan Young, and Lachlan Young is well, he's now pled guilty today, this morning, in the Supreme Court in Ballarat to murdering Hannah. So if you remember, this happened not too long after Samantha Murphy went missing, and then we covered this at the time too. And then we just got out of Erin Patterson's trial, and I was going to go straight into this one, although sometimes life happens and things don't work out the way you hope they do. But I do have all the information here for you. So I'll read you the headline and I'll go through some of the stuff I have too. Um, yeah, Lachlan Young pleads guilty to murder of Clunes woman Hannah Maguire. This was a brutal murder, really brutal. They say the ex-partner of Hannah was on trial for her murder, changed his plea to guilty. So the trial ended very early, only got underway for roughly a week, and then he, I don't know, must have heard enough evidence and decided that's it. I don't want to contest this anymore. I'm just going to plead guilty. So it just ended like that. But it was an eventful 6 days, and I'll run you through some of it in a second. Hey guys, how are you? Hey SP Mama, good to have you. Kathy Lynch is here, retired RN. Marilyn Landis is here. Joe Neal made it as well. Rachel's here. Who else is here? Francesca's here. Good to see you all. Good to see you. All right, retired RN. Hey, good to have you. All right, give me 1 sec. I'm going to switch over, and then we're going to get going on some more of this evidence. All right. So, yeah. So today changed his plea to guilty 8 days into his trial. He initially pleaded not guilty to murdering his ex-partner in April last year, and his offer to plead guilty to manslaughter had been rejected previously by the prosecution. And they're saying in the Supreme Court of Ballarat this morning, the 23-year-old was rearraigned and told a packed courtroom that he did murder Miss Maguire. They're saying Young had previously admitted to killing his former partner and dumping her body in bushland, but denied he did so with murderous intent. Her body was found in a burnt-out car. And they're saying here the courtroom was filled with her family and friends who hugged, cheered, clapped, and wept after Young was escorted from court after that guilty plea. So it's a good news. Anytime you can get a guilty plea and have a family and not have to go through, like what we just went through with Erin Patterson. What was that, like 11 weeks of evidence and witnesses and trial data and a media frenzy? Anytime you can cut that short and get the family a verdict is a good day in court, any day that happens. So, especially when you get a plea. So, we've seen this before. We would have seen this with Brian Koberger recently, too, in America, where he pled guilty. And similar here. I don't think he'll do 5 years. Not with the fact that he pled guilty. And some of the details in this case are absolutely horrific. Let me grab this. Yeah, I want to get out of this this page. I want to go to a different video for you. So yeah, this was actually my next step on where I was going to go, and now we can't follow it anymore because it's over. But I will be at the sentencing for this one as well, in a month or so. It'll probably be a bit longer than a month, but I'll be there. All right, here we go. I'm going to play this from 7 News Australia.
Of the man on trial for the murder of Ballarat woman Hannah Maguire has revealed he was paid $45 to help her killer dump her ute. But the key witness claims he had no idea Miss Maguire's body was inside the burning vehicle.
Benjamin O'Keefe drove in convoy behind Lachlan Young before watching his mate set his ex-partner's car on fire in bushland. But he insists he didn't know Hannah Maguire was dead or that her body was inside the burning vehicle. Today, Mr O'Keefe was questioned as a key witness in his friend's murder trial about the day he learned the young teacher was dead. Upon hearing about the death of Hannah Maguire, what did you do? I called Lockie. I was worried that I was implicated in her murder. Mr O'Keefe gave evidence he confronted Mr Young in person, saying Hannah better not have been in that car. Then, telling the court, he said she was already deceased, she was suffocated. Mr Young, Ms Maguire's former partner, is accused of murdering her but has pleaded not guilty, arguing that while he killed the 23-year-old...
So this video came out yesterday. We now know that he's changed that plea to guilty, and so don't pay attention to that bit.
He did not do so with murderous intent. The jury also heard Mr Young previously told his mate he wanted to drug his ex-partner before putting her body in a car and rolling it down a hill. Mr O'Keefe was then quizzed about why he still didn't suspect Ms Maguire may be in the car that he saw being set alight. So even though 2 days before there's this conversation about scaring Ms Maguire, it didn't even enter your mind that she might be in that vehicle? Yes. Estelle Greepink, 7 News.
So that was his mate, who was given evidence at the trial. Look, he's not the one on trial, so I'm not gonna jump down his throat too much, but I'll say some of it sounds slightly unbelievable, but we'll take a guilty plea when we can get a guilty plea, I guess. Journey L said an accidental suffocate. Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, I know. But sometimes with these cases, they want the person who orchestrated or was the main player, and the main player in this is Lachlan Young, and that's who they wanted, and that's who they got. So sometimes it works like that, unfortunately, even when it looks like other people may have known. It doesn't mean you can prove that in a court of law, even with their own testimony. It doesn't mean that that is something you can charge against in a court of law. I'm just checking my notes here for this trial. Okay. Yeah, so that's your update in that. I will do a full. So what day? How many days did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6 days. I'll do a one to the end in one video, probably tomorrow or Sunday, and I'll run you through the entire set of notes that I have for this trial. So very similar to the Aaron Patterson thing. I'll bring you all the details that I legally am allowed to do. So that's anything said in front of the jury. Actually, we've got a guilty plea now, probably more than that, but I'll do it in one shot because it's such a short trial. We're not going to go any longer. It sort of ended today. But being that we followed this last year, I wanted to bring you an update on it. And this was going to be our next trial that Ping was going to go to in the Supreme Court. But sometimes things happen, and I'll take a guilty plea any day over having to drag out for 11 weeks to do whatever, to go to a jury verdict. If we can get that in, less than a week, I will take that every time. SP1 said, yeah, a plea is good, but why? They should have said why with the plea. Let me check. Let me check my notes and see if they did give any reasoning that I can give you. Just that His Honor said this morning when the jury entered the courtroom, he said good morning to the jury, and that he'd been informed by counsel this morning that the matter has been resolved. And he said Mr. Young will be arraigned today, and they asked to arraign Mr. Young again. And they say the charge is murder. They ask the accused, and the accused pleads guilty. So they go through that arraignment process again. And then His Honor thanked the jury for their role and their civic duty, and release them. And that's it. That's all that happened this morning. So they were discharged without verdict, and they said sentencing will happen at a later time. I don't have a date. When I do, I will it says to be determined. So when I have that date, I'll let you know. But that's basically what went down in court this morning. That's it. That's what I have on my notes here from the Supreme Court. Just came in, told the court that basically, that he'd been informed that the matter had been resolved and that Mr. Young would be arraigned again. So pled guilty. Jury was discharged, and they'll work out a date in the future for sentencing. So we'll see what they say about that. Rachel said, hopefully her family can start to find some peace now with the trial over. Let's wait till sentencing happens, and maybe then. Even when you get a verdict, right, the family still will go to the sentencing and whatever else. So it doesn't end with a guilty verdict or a guilty plea. There's still other court hearings and stuff to go to. So their sort of journey in the legal system is not over, not by a long shot. They've got a few more months to go before they can actually say like it's over. So not yet, but yes, I hope so. Francesca said, now we need Samantha Murphy's case to end in the same way. I don't think you're going to get it. I don't think you're going to get it. I can't tell you why, but now that we have a trial date set for Samantha Murphy, I can't comment on it anymore because I will be at that trial. So all I can tell you is I don't think so. And I think we're going to run that trial for the whole thing. I don't think we're getting out early. I don't think they're going to be a flip on that one, but I hope so. And I hope he says where her body is located. Who is messaging me? No. Sorry, it was Trish. Francesca said, yeah, I think you're right, Ping. Yeah, it's going to run for the whole thing. I just don't see I think I don't know if I can say that. Okay. I would say that if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now. That particular case has had a long time waiting for trial, a long time. And by the time we actually tick around to 2026 next year, still got like 10 months to go till trial. So I don't know. If it doesn't happen before the day the trial starts, I don't think it was going to happen. Gail said, I think it's going to be a very long trial. I think it's going to be very similar to Aaron Patterson. I think it's going to maybe not run quite as long, but I don't think we're getting out early. I don't think we're going to get an early mark for that trial. Okay, so there's your update on Lachlan Young. Like I said, I have the notes here. It'll take me a couple of days to run through them, so like a day or so. But I'll give you a one-shot live stream from opening statements to the change in plea. in one go, because I don't think there's any point drawing it out and doing like one video per day. It's not worth it. And it's not worth, polluting YouTube with like 7 videos on it. It's enough. Francesca says, poor family. You wait till you hear some more of the details from this case. Limited details that we got, but he is an awful young man, and that girl is very, it happens far too often with these men who are DVing their partners. It's really horrible. You hear it, and you hear some of like what these women are going through. Yeah, it's not very nice, and you wonder, why is it such a scourge on our society? Yeah, let's go to Julia Burgeon with the ABC News outside the Ballarat Supreme Court right here.
Today, after court had adjourned yesterday for the day, we heard that Lachlan Young had indeed decided to plead guilty to the murder of his ex-partner, Hannah Maguire. Mr Young had previously pled not guilty to murder. He'd attempted to enter a guilty plea to manslaughter, but this was rejected by the prosecution. But this whole case has basically, up until today, been hinging on intent, on murderous intent, and that's what he had been denying until today. So he had not denied at any point that he did indeed cause Miss Maguire's death, that he killed her in the home that they shared in Sebastopol, that he then put her body in the back of her vehicle and drove her out to bushland, where he then set it on fire. So all of that has now come to light as the version of events that is exactly what happened, as he has pled guilty to her murder.
So, Julia, can you take us through what the court has heard in the past week or so?
So we've heard from a number of witnesses, particularly this week. We heard from Hannah Maguire's parents, who gave a lot of evidence about how Mr Young treated Miss Maguire during their relationship, including a number of panicked phone calls where she would be calling in hysterics, incredibly upset. For example, one instance, he was trying to run her off the road. We also heard about his conduct after he murdered her, including sending text messages from Miss Maguire's phone to Young, pretending to be her, in what the prosecution has said was an attempt to stage it as a suicide. He also transferred money to their accounts. We heard from her work colleagues, and probably the most damning evidence came from his Young's workmate, Benjamin O'Keefe, who was the man that helped dispose of the car that Miss Maguire was in on the night that she was murdered. Now, the defence tried to say that he knew that her body was in there, that he saw her body dead in the house, and that it was his plan of how to dispose of that car. But what we know, and what Mr O'Keefe has said, is that he had no idea that her body was inside the car. And we also heard about a number of conversations that O'Keefe had with Young, including an admission from him that that Miss Maguire had suffocated and was dead before her body was found in that vehicle. So all of that has come to a head today, with Mr Young pleading guilty to her murder.
And what's been the reaction to the guilty plea, Julia?
So in the courtroom today, it was completely packed with family and friends. And when the jury was brought in, and it's worth adding that they were one juror down. So yesterday there was a juror that pulled out, but the trial was to go ahead all the same. But when that jury was brought in, and Young was rearraigned, so he was asked how he pled to the murder of his ex-partner, Miss Hannah Maguire, and he said guilty. And the court basically breathed a sigh of relief. You could feel the tension in the air. He was then taken out of the courtroom, and the court erupted into cheers, and there were a lot of tears and hugs. And we haven't heard from the defence or the prosecution or family since they've left court, but all we know so far is that there's been a mention scheduled for next Friday, where we will find out what happens next.
Yeah, I'd say next Friday is the day that any booking for sentencing, pre-sentencing, anything like, depending what they want to do, we'll find out next Friday is normally what happens. So we'll get more clarity on that in the days to come. Like she said, a lot of the evidence was horrific. And like I said, I will take you through that in the one-shot video I'll do over the weekend. I need some time to go through all these notes. What else can I tell you? Like she said, they did lose a juror. Interesting, because Aaron Patterson, we also lost a juror. So they were down to 13. Same as Aaron Patterson. Yeah. Or do we have 15? I can't remember. But we lost one in the Aaron Patterson trial as well. But I think for different circumstances, she described it as the juror pulled out, meaning for some unknown reason couldn't continue. And the one in Aaron Patterson was slightly different. That juror got booted from the jury room for some reason. I can't tell you why. I don't know. Francesco said terrible cruelty. Hannah in her final moments, definitely. I think if we think about the way that she died, and like he said, very cruel. Think about what her life must have been like for the period of time before she was murdered, because these things don't just pop up one day and you know, Lachlan's all like, hey, I'm going to abuse you, murder you, drug you, and put you in a car and set it on fire. No, I don't think it happens like that. I think it's a slow burn throughout the relationship, manipulation, coercion, abuse, that type of thing. So I would say that Hannah's last few months or years on this earth were probably particularly unpleasant as well. I don't know. I am just sort of tuning in. I know you guys are probably like, Ping, you always have all the details. That is true. But I've had a lot of other stuff on. Let me see. Yeah. Ping's sort of getting in somewhat late. Somewhat late. I have no idea. But I'll find out. When we do the long video, I'll have that information. I'm not sure. I will find it for you, though. Who's emailing me? Why do people email me when I'm on a live show? That's all right. Yes, so there we go. You have a modern mullet. All right. Like a fish or like the haircut? You have to tell me which one. Let me see what else we've got. Similar to what? Similar to Pamela Anderson's? I'm confused at what you're referencing now. I hope you're referencing haircuts. Let's see. Yeah, I had planned to go to this one from day one, but because Aaron Patterson's one took so long, and then we got a verdict so late, they sort of overlapped. These ones sort of overlapped by about 3 days, something like that. And then 3 days or the same day, I can't remember, but they overlapped slightly. And then by the time we got out of Aaron Patterson and I started giving you the evidence out of that one, this one was already underway. And then you guys know that everything that happened with Mrs. Ping. Danny said there's a fish called a mullet. Yeah, there's a fish called a mullet. What are you talking about? Hold on. Mullet. Horse. Yeah, my squeaky chair is still squeaky. How do you not know there's a fish called a mullet? Here, just so people don't think I'm doing some sort of Australian joke on these people. Look. Mullet fish. There you go. See? There's a type of fish called a mullet. There you go. Fishy. So you can either have a haircut or you can have a fish. You could have a haircut and a fish at the same time. Let's see. Thanks, Retired RN. I appreciate it. We'll keep going. I promise. This week's just been a little full on. How is Mrs. Ping? Well, the last update I got was that it seems like finally she's probably going to get released from hospital again for the second time, and they're going to send her home sometime soon. Like, I don't know if it's tomorrow or Monday or Sunday, but sometime between now and Monday, she's probably going to get out of hospital again, what's really annoying is tonight I'm going to be at Nikki Glazer, the comedian's doing a show in Melbourne tonight. I'm going to be at that show. If she gets out tomorrow, I'm going to be so mad because I would have liked for her to go to the show because I obviously bought her a ticket. I'll be pissed if the hospital's like, she can go home tomorrow. It's like, really? By one day? Really? So that's not fun. I really don't like that. I would have liked for her to go. Francesca said, okay, sounds good. Yeah, let's hope so. Angela said, would they not let you take her in a wheelchair? No, because they haven't taken her drainage plug out yet. So she can't go or leave the hospital right now. She will miss the show. Yeah. She will not be able to go. We tried to work around it. I was like, can I just take you in a cab? Because it's not far from the venue. And I was like, can I just put you in a cab and take you to the show and back? And the hospital's like, no, can't take her in a cab. Because they're like, the drainage tube is like an open wound. And then, going to a place where there's like 10,000 people is not a good idea. And they're like, just a bad idea. Francesca said, well, you have to take a mate if you can. It's okay. I have I bought the insurance on the tickets, knowing that Mrs. Ping would probably maybe be in hospital, so I'll get a refund for her ticket. It's fine, and I'll go and watch Nikki on my own. Here, Francesca said you need a laugh. I need something: a beer, a whiskey, a comedian, a mullet, something. All right, let's see. I want to find out if these details. I guess it's said in front of the jury, so it's fine. I always worry when we get court details, and then I'm like, I want to talk to you about it, but I haven't had enough time to look through everything. So I always think maybe I'm going to screw up and say something I shouldn't. But we got a verdict, so it should be fine. Wait, was the jury present here? Okay, give me 1 sec. I'll pull up something that I got today from this court, from this trial, and I'll read it to you. Let me find it, because they talk in here. They talk here about roofing, like, roofies, the date rape. Shouldn't say that word on YouTube, Ping. Good work. They talk about roofing Hannah. And I was like, roofing, really? Like, that's what they're talking about. So when that lady was talking about drugging, they were talking about roofies. And I was just trying to find that quote. Sorry. I literally got this just before we went live. So I'm a bit behind. Hold on, guys. Where did you... Yeah. So this is Benjamin James O'Keefe. He was recalled as a witness. And here, they say, Mr. O'Keefe, yesterday you gave some evidence about Mr. Young's plan on the 2nd of April 2024 to roofie Hannah and crash her car with her in it. And then he said, was anything said by Mr. Young during that conversation about what this crash would look like? And Mr. O'Keefe replies, no, he says, no, just her in the front seat. So he gave this evidence that there was a plan to roofie her, not just drug her or whatever. We're talking about, like, it sounds terrible when you read it out. He said here, you also said yesterday that Mr. Young told you he didn't want Hannah to take the house or his things. Was anything said about how he knew she wanted to take some things? And he says, said that she'd give him a list of things she wanted back. So when they were having this dispute and breakup, I'm guessing there was allegations made of like, I want things back from the relationship, and he didn't want her to take the house or his things. So that led to somehow roofing her and crashing her car with her in it. He totally didn't want to. Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday, you also gave some evidence about after this driveway meeting on the 2nd of April 2024, you went in and told your partner Amber about the car, but not about Hannah. What did she say in response to you again? And his reply is that I was an idiot for agreeing. Smart lady. You also said that you didn't tell her because Mr. Young told you not to tell her. And he says, yeah. So talking about the bro code there, huh? It's very bros before girlfriends, apparently. So you just make up plans to help dispose of bodies and murder, and don't tell girlfriends because they might tell each other. Is that how that works? Apparently so. They're saying here, and they ask him, what specifically did he say to you about telling people about this plan? And his reply was, he didn't say about other people. He said, just don't tell Amber. Was anything else said or just don't tell Amber? And he says, I don't think so. So there you go. Him about this meeting and the plan that Mr. Young's plan on the 2nd of April 2024 to roofie Hannah and crash her car with her in it. Far out. Yeah. Now, you told us this conversation was on the 2nd of April, and what Mr. Young told you his plan was when he arrived at your house on the 4th of April in the early hours of the morning. Was there any change to the plan as you understood it? And his reply was, yeah, well, I thought it was just getting rid of the car. They ask him, why did you think that? And he says, because in the message, he said, I've got to get rid of the car. They ask him, was there anything in the message about Hannah? And he says, no. They ask him, now, yesterday, you also gave evidence about the blowtorch that you saw Lockie using to ignite the front seats of the vehicle. When was the first time on the 5th of April that you saw the blowtorch? And he asks, that night? And they say, yes. And he replies, when he pulled it out of the car, I started burning. I'm guessing saying when he pulled it out of the car and started burning the car. And they say, what was that location? And he says, out in the bush at Scarsdale. And he says, yeah. So there you go. He's saying that basically he was somewhat complicit in these actions of trying to get rid of the car, which now we know had Hannah was inside of that vehicle. So he was there while Lockie told him this plan, this roofie plan to roofie Hannah, and then was like, yeah, bruh, you can come to my house and I'll meet up with you and help you dispose of just the car. So there you go. There's a little bit from the court that I wanted to show you because that bit is shocking, really is. I mean, there's one thing to be like, mates before everyone type stuff and bros before ladies of whatever, but being so complicit and being like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do whatever you want. Like, when do you ever stand up for the women in your lives? That when does that come into any questions here? I want to know about that. When does at any point do you just say that's wrong? You're an idiot. His own girlfriend, the guy, the witness here, his own girlfriend called him an idiot for listening to Lachlan, and I agree with her. He is an idiot, and it's just it keeps happening over and over again. We get these court cases of women of various ages being killed by partners. Then you have other people, other men, instead of taking a stand and doing the right thing, you just go along with it. And like, sure, I'll help you burn a car that I don't know what's inside of it. That sounds like a great plan. Yeah. Did his friend that helped him get time in jail? I don't think so. He testified at the hearing, so. The kids say 304. I have heard that before, 304. I've heard it in all the rap songs. Rachel says just terrible to help him. I agree, he's an idiot. His girlfriend's somewhat smart too. Misogyny is on the rise. I don't know if it's misogyny as such or it's well, I guess lack of respect is misogyny. So it's just seems to be that females' lives are less valuable than male lives, or at least that seems to be the thinking of some men in our society. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I want to read the story to you where the guy actually stands up for the woman and probably gets killed for it, but I want to read that story where someone actually defends a woman instead of some woman gets murdered in tragic circumstances for doing nothing but wanting to leave a relationship. I mean, everyone should be free to leave whatever relationships, dating situations, whatever that they want to. Chipmunk says, I never get the cases where several people help in a crime. One person doing a bad crime is bad enough, but not stepping up to say, no, you're in the wrong. I know. I don't think she was ignoring red flags. I think she wanted to go. I think the problem is that the dangerous time in a lot of women's lives is when they try and leave a relationship, and then that heightens the danger because there's a lot of volatile emotions and people are mad and there's a lot of arguments and, you know, it leads to women being killed. Sometimes men too, sometimes men. But yeah, that's a horrible passage in the evidence in front of the jury. You know, yesterday, but show the car. Oh, there we go. Let me fix this. There we go. I take you back to when you sort of do for cars. All right. So they ask him here about the car, and they say there's a conversation with you both. I'll start from here. They're saying here, I take you back to some evidence you gave yesterday when you get to the dirt road, but before the car is lit on fire. They said, you said your car is pulled up to Mr. Young's and you were talking through, I think, the windows. Is that right? And they were open. And he says, yes, yes. They said, there's a conversation between you both. How does that conversation start? And he says, I don't remember. He says, I think when the windows got pulled down or put down, he says, he stopped and I pulled up next to him and put the windows down. And they ask who spoke first. He says, I think Lockie did. And they say, what did he say? And his reply is, what are we going to do with the car? They ask him, did he say anything else at that point? He says, I don't think so. What did you say in response to that? And he says, dump it because we'll get in more trouble for a bushfire. They ask him, why did you think there might be a bushfire? He says, because we were in the bush. Solid logic there. They say, all right, was there any mention at that point about fire or lighting anything? He says, no. Let me just jump down here. So they ask him here about a statement that he made to police, and they ask him to read it out. And this is the part of it here. We traveled about 15 minutes from home before I pulled up next to Lockie. He had the front driver's side window down, and I had the front passenger side window down. He asked me if I should torch the car or dump it. I said dump it because it might start a bushfire. They ask him, was that true? And he says, yes. Yeah, so there you go. So they have this conversation about either dumping the car or setting it on fire. This is before the car is set on fire with Hannah inside of it. Good work, Joe. I'm glad you're such a strong female that you can make that happen in your life. I'm very proud of you. Feminism will be rewarding you soon with your, with your acts of bravery for the cause. Chipmunk said, I think too many women need to say something secretly to someone and then just go. It's like watching a horror movie. I don't think the information I have about Hannah is it's not like some of the other stories, but it's still sad. It's still very sad. Chipmunk said, I've been in DV before. No way to call the cops at times. Many people stay put and then calm down, then leave if they can. Calling the cops when they are pissed off could cause a murder. I agree. We can still see the mullet fish. Yeah, I can't show you what I'm reading, unfortunately, but you can talk about the mullet fish if you want. I can't show you what I'm actually reading, unfortunately. Here, you can look at this court sketch. Is that Anita? It is Anita. Look, it looks very much like Aaron Patterson's one. There you go. Anita Lester, right there. It's the lady who did our court sketch for Aaron Patterson. She's back at it, sketching people in court again. All right, yeah, I agree. There you go. So there's a little bit from the trial. I just want to go through here. Okay, events over towards it. Oh yeah. All right. I will go through these notes. I've given you a little bit, and I will condense it all into about 2 hours. 2 hours over, whatever how many days this is, and I'll read you from opening statements to change of plea today. But trying to do it on the fly is very hard, so I don't want to keep going. Gail said, I would rather see the fish. You want to see the fish? We can go back to the fish. Here, I can make it really large. There you go. There you go. The mullet fish. Joniel said, how often is the first instance of DV murder? I don't know. I don't have that statistics on me. I'm not sure. Probably not super common, but I would say that murder and DV come in all different circumstances, and there probably is scenarios where it could have been like a first date, things go off the road, sex is presumed and not like actually agreed to by both parties. SA happens, and then it goes too far, or probably already went too far by that point, but it continues and then murder happens. I wouldn't be surprised, and that's an example of a first instance of DV. So it does happen. I wouldn't say it's super common, but it probably does happen. What? Anything that isn't him? Are you saying the fish is not him? I didn't tell you that the fish was him. All right, let me see. Let me see if I've got anything else for you here that I can read to you. So they're still talking to Mr. O'Keefe here. And they ask him here, would you accept at the time of the conversation you were drinking quite excessively? He says, yes. Around that point in your life, you were using illegal drugs. True? He says, yes. Around that point in your life, you were using, in particular, speed. That's right. And he replies, yes. Around that time in your life, you're using what's called ice or methamphetamine. Is that right? He says, yes. And you accept around that time of the conversation with Mr. Young, where you heard him say something about the deceased being suffocated, you accept that you may have been using ice. Agreed? He says, not that day. You accept that you may have been using speed. He says, yes. They ask him, was he being truthful about using amphetamines? And he says, yes. They say, after you say that, so this is cross-exam. After you say that, my client has said something to you about the deceased being suffocated. You say, and you stayed for a couple of beers, that's right? He says, yes. So after being told that Hannah has been suffocated, he hung around while apparently high on amphetamines for a couple of beers. And this came out under cross-exam. I don't know why they asked this in cross-examination, but they did. Maybe it goes to sort of like his truthfulness and his sort of image and stuff like that. I can't think of the word. Good ping. Good work on your thinking today, sir. But it probably goes to, his evidence and how reliable it is. And then they're going to try to paint him as a drug user, which he admits to under oath. So can't do much about that. They're saying you don't call the police over here and say, look. Yeah, so they ask him here, you don't call the police after that visit and say, look, this bloke who you're not even close with has admitted that his partner is dead inside a vehicle before he lit it up, and now he's changing his story about it. And he says, yes. Don't call the police and give them any of that information. And he says, no, because I didn't want to think it was real. You made no call to police. And he says, no. No information passed on by you. That's right. And he says, no. They said, instead, what you do after you have decided that you're going to have a few more beers with a man you say is lying about whether he disposed of his ex-girlfriend's body. Is that right? And he says, yes. After you've had a few more drinks, you go home again. That's right. And he says, yes. They say, and what we do know, Amber is asleep again in bed, is she? And he says, no, she's awake. Would you accept that you arrived home at 5:15 a.m. in the morning? He says, yes. And you go and get yourself a few hours of sleep and wake up at 10 a.m. This is where I took you before. Yeah. And they say 10 a.m. on the 6th of April. And he says, yes, that's right. Instead of going to police at that point, you join your mates going camping. Is that right? And he says, yes. Nothing is stopping you at that point when you woke up and had all of this sleep. And he says, he gives an example like, I better go down to the police. There's nothing stopping you at that time going down to the police. Agreed? He says, yes. Now what happens is, he says, now what happens, isn't it that you go off to the Happy Valley campground? And he says, yes. At some points in the day, you're at the Linton pub, which is another small town nearby. Is that right? He says, yes. And they ask, were you drinking? Again, yes. You say that you tell people who you went camping with the same story that you later told police. Is that right? And he says, yes. So that includes the driveway conversation and it includes the suffocation conversation, according to you. And he says, yes. They say to him, you don't leave the camp. They say, well, to speak to these people. And apparently they do. Apparently do. They say, look, Mr. O'Keefe, you better go to the police. And he says, yes. But you don't do that either, do you? And he says, no. So even the people he went camping with, the people he gave a description and story to about what happened with Lachlan, tells them all this suffocation story about the car, about the fire. They're like, well, buddy, you should go to the police. And even at that point, after being told, sort of like a peer pressure situation, he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So there you go. That's what they're trying to point out. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. My cat is very naughty. Janelle said, I know the psychology of victimhood. The victim needs to get the law involved immediately. I'll make sure they have your number All DV victims will have Joe Neal's number. Hold on. What kind of beer? I got no idea. They don't ask that in the evidence. They don't ask anything about what type of beer. They just say, "Have you been drinking?" And he says, "Yes, he was." Yeah. All right. Let me go back up here. Let me see if we got anything about this conversation. Rory, get down. Get off. Yeah, we already talked about that. So this is first up examination, then cross-examination of Mr. O'Keefe. And it's the evidence from the prosecution and then the defense trying to cross-examine him. Let's see. When do you want details for that? Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave it there. I'll write my notes over the next 24 hours and then I'll produce that. I don't know what we're going to label it. Something like the trial A to Z. And we'll go through it from front to back and you guys will have a better context for some of these points. But I wanted to run you through a couple of bits that I found, needed to be told to you about it. Joe Neal said, unless she's been kidnapped, she'll have an opportunity to go to police. I'm confused. At the point where she was suffocated or the point where she was burning in a car? At which point do you think that she should have the opportunity to go to the police? I'm confused. Have you been keeping up with the story today, or I am confused at which point this young lady, should have gone to the police. At the point where the guy suffocated her, I don't know if you can get out of that. Especially as a female, you might be able to, but maybe not. Hey, get out. And at the time when she's burning in the car, she is most likely not alive anymore. So I don't think she'd be going to any police. That's right. What is the saying that it can take up to X many times for people in a DV situation, male and female, takes them like X many times to leave and actually do it for good. So even if they called the police, ask a cop. I would say, ask a cop, how many times do they have to go to like a repeat offender's home? Like a repeat DV call out? And I'll tell you that probably in their system, they have bunches of people that they've seen multiple times that have called victim and perpetrator. And they've either one of them have called the cops. And I think it's not as easy as you make it out to be or as black and white. There's multiple issues and reasons and individual circumstances that are very different from this case to the next one. So not in AZ. Why do you all just take them to the electric chair? Is that what you do? Or you throw them over the border? Which one? You tell me. I don't know. I'm just saying that I would say that, yes, he probably was abusive to her beforehand. I will get into the notes and I'll double check. There's probably some background here that I'm not reading. But yeah, that's I'll know more when I go through all this. I just wanted to bring you the update about the guilty plea change and then give you a couple of points from the trial. Right, which happens quite frequently. They don't have the option. That's only if the cop is called. It's like an automatic reporting law. They have this in many places in America where if the cops are called and they witness that there is DV that's taken place, they have to charge over it. Like they can't just let people go and be like, oh, they'll be all right in the morning. They have to lay charges against people. So that's what that is. I've seen that before. pregnant and leaving a relationship of any kind is the most dangerous time for a woman. So, all right. Yeah, good work, RX girl. Good work, my friend. My cats are going bonkers. They're being very naughty. I don't know what they're doing. All right. Good work. Good to see you. Hey, I hate mornings. How are you? Hey, Sean. Good to have you guys. All I can see is a tail jumping around my living room. I don't know what she's doing. My fluffy cat is running around the heater like in circles. No idea why. Yeah, they arrest quite frequently. RX girl, yeah, that's fine. All right. It's going to be a bit of a short show today. But I hope by the time we get out of this weekend, everything will have gone back to normal and we'll be back on our sort of 24/7 one show or more per day. It's just been a crazy week and um you know, with everything going on, it's just been mental. But I wanted to bring the update for this because it's very important. Acting as a fan heater, that's what she's doing. It's very important that I brought you these updates, but I want to run you through the entire trial itself. As short as it was, I want to do that for you probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get back into our routine. I promise. Have a laugh tonight. I will. I will. I will. I will. Yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully this is the last week of these bloody interruptions and life events, and we can get back to doing 24/7 true crime. That cat is crazy. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, hi. What are you doing? She's here now. Hey, fluffy cat. Don't know why she's so hyperactive today. Don't pee your pants laughing? I don't think I will. You can be up all night. Yeah, have a good night. If I get back from the show and I'm in a talkative mood, I may come back and do some true crime like 8 a.m. in the morning. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel after the trip out to the city and then back again. And I hate morning says praying Mrs. Ping heals up quickly from now on. Let's hope so. No more infections. No more infections. That'd be good. Joniel said, are you saying that you require all your women in your life to be proactive? Is that what you're trying to demonstrate? Gail said 7:27 a.m. Get some good rest. I don't know. I don't think we've rested in many months already now. All right. I'm going to get out of here. That was your update for Lachlan Young and Hannah Maguire. Although we have a bigger, like I said, a bigger update coming over the weekend where I will read you more of that court hearing stuff and we'll go in order. But I wanted to read that one bit about the conversations about burning that car and sort of what happened after that, because I thought it was so just blatant that it, needed to be told. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if she, what? I don't know if she's Jewish, my friend. I have no idea. Francesca, thank you guys. Good to see you. Just let me check here. I'll check here briefly, just to check. Okay. Hey, I want to thank Sean for the donation last night. I appreciate it. I know there's been a lack of content this week, so but you can watch more of it over the weekend. Gayla said she can listen with you. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Jojo said hopefully she's coming home. Hopefully. Oh, she just messaged me. Wait, she asked me if I'm still going to to the show tonight. Yes, I'm going. I'm going if I can find my wallet. So the other day I lost my wallet. When I was cleaning up the house for Mrs. Ping to come home, I put it somewhere and I have no idea where it is. And for like 2 days I've been looking for it. Can't find it anyway. And tonight I'll need it because I have to show ID to get into the show. So I have to go do that. And the show's on in 3 hours. So I got to get ready and head out to the city. You sure. I don't know. I don't speak to Nikki Glazer that much to know. In a pocket in the closet? I don't know where it is. I'll find it. It's somewhere. I think I put it somewhere and then put that away. So I probably put it on top of something and then put that in a drawer, a closet, something. In a drawer, probably. She's dirty. That's why Ping's going to go see her and laugh a lot tonight because her jokes are hilarious and filthy, which Ping thinks is very funny. So that's what I'll be doing. Trisha found the ponytail. You were fine. Was she missing the ponytail at some point? Was this a thing that she couldn't find? I'm concerned. Good luck with the wallet. I'll see if I can find it. All right. Peace out. There's your update on Lachlan Young. Changed his plea to guilty mid-trial. So they got like, yeah, I'll tell you. They got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 days into the trial, and then it all got interrupted. And then they came back, and then they learnt about the plea change, and it was it. It's over. So very quick trial, less than a week really. Less than a week of real evidence giving and witness stuff. She lost it for a year? Okay. That's all right. All right. I'll ask her about it. I will. Wallet appear now. That's right. Everyone wish it into existence. I have no idea. I should probably go now because I have to go find it. All right. Love you all. See you later. And like I said, I may come on tonight when I get back. So the show only runs for a couple of hours and then I may come back on. So love you all. See you then. This weekend, the Lachlan Young trial A to Z. Keep an eye out for that video and I'll run you through the entire thing. So you can all be caught up. Good night, everyone. Hey, it was cool seeing Anita Lester doing the trial photos again. Same lady who did our sketch for Aaron Patterson. Same lady. All right. Good night. Have a great night. See you later. Bye.